Now stand by for some strong words from Paul Scholes. He says he was surprised by Ruben Amorim's stubbornness in not changing his system when facing Everton's 10 men in the Monday Night Football. He says it felt like one step forwards and two steps back at times during Amorim's year in charge, but he still feels they will be challenging for European places at the end of the season.
It's a really tough job for him. We know that many people have come and failed since Sir Alex. And like I say, you feel like you're making a step forward and two steps back almost all the time. Look, it's a lot's made of the formation. I thought the other night was a big stubbornness towards it, really. If you think of the back three, Gary was mentioning it on commentary all the time, and you could feel the frustration in them, the frustration in the fans, and frustration in all of us that he didn't change it, because to have three against virtually nobody at times, it felt strange that you bring in an extra attacker or a player on. So look, I think that it's still a work in progress. They're still not in a great position in the league. They obviously had a poor season last year, and it'll be looking to improve. I think the league's so tight, or even from second right down to where Man United are 10th, 11th, 10th I think. So a couple of wins and all of a sudden you're back flying again, and you're in positions where you'd like to think they can compete for, especially a European place this season.
Well, both Scholes and his former teammate Nicky Butt feel Kobbie Mainoo has stagnated under Amorim. Mainoo, a stand-up player for England in the Euros in 2024, hasn't started a league game this season, and Butt says he should consider moving on if he doesn't feature more regularly.
Yeah, I'm worried about him because he's a superstar. He's got into the England team at 18, 19. Was one of the best performers in the Euros for us. He's come through the academy at Man United from the age of 7. He was there when I was there as academy manager. I know him as a person, I know him as a young boy, I know him as a young man. I know the talent that he's got. And the scary thing for me is if Kobbie Mainoo was playing for Crystal Palace, example, if he was at any other football club, bar Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, where it's hard to get players out of, Man United would be in for him in January for 50-60 million, and it's sad because I know how much he loves football, I know how much he loves the football club. More importantly, as we all do, we know the talent that he's got, and it is a waste, and he's a player that we could do with. For a player of his ilk, shouldn't be going on loan. Either the club want you or you leave. It's looking like the club don't see him as a starting 11, which for me is bizarre with some of the players that are playing. So if I was his advisor, I'd be saying, look, if you don't get in that starting 11 pretty soon, you need to go and get a new club that's going to value you, going to help your career go forward, and going to get you to the levels that you should be at, and we all know you should be at.
That's probably one of the most disappointing things for me is Kobbie Mainoo not being involved in this Manchester United team, because we saw how good he was 18 months, 2 years ago, and for some reason it's not quite happened. The manager doesn't seem to quite fancy him, but we all know the qualities he has, but the manager's just for some reason preferring somebody else, and that's something he has to deal with. I think he's dealt with it quite well at this minute, but at some point he will get frustrated, and as I'm frustrated with watching Manchester United at times as well, and especially with Kobbie Mainoo, because homegrown talent, we don't have many of them anymore, and we want him in that team and we want him playing well.
You were particularly frustrated during the commentary about Amorim's reaction to the situation, and not maybe the substitutions, the positioning of players.
Well, look, we can start with the manager, but I think we must start with the players. You have to, when you're playing football at the Premier League, I'm not even going to say at Manchester United, I'm just going to say at Premier League and professional level, you've got to adapt to the circumstances within the game. In the first half, I mentioned it looked as if they didn't know, they'd not planned how to play with 10 men. And I'm probably, to be fair, letting them off the hook, the players there, with regards to, well, it's pretty damn obvious, isn't it, how you play with 10 men. You shift the ball a bit, well, you shift the ball quicker, you shift it from side to side, you switch play, you stretch the pitch and make it as big as possible, and this pitch always feels big at Old Trafford. You make sure that you literally run the other team ragged. Manchester United kept, at times, 3 and 4 and 5 players, maybe not behind the ball, but maybe behind, well, just a one Everton player with Barry up front. The 3 at the back had to form differently. They had to change. Now, that doesn't mean to say, I know that Ruben Amorim has said he'll never change his 3 at the back system. I get it. But I'm sorry. Luke Shaw has to go forward and play like a left winger. He has to. Bring Euro round with De Ligt. Make sure that they mark Barry. Snuff him out. One of you pick him up. Get tight. One of you drop off behind. Make sure he doesn't get the ball. And Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes move forward. Make sure you don't play again too deep. And the rest of the players, to be fair, make sure you try and create some form of overload. I mean, I played here as 10 men a lot of times. And quite simply, you would never see me back. I'd be literally as wide as possible with either David Beckham or Antonio Valencia or Cristiano Ronaldo on that right-hand side. And Ryan Giggs and Dennis Irwin or Patrice Evra would be as wide as possible on this side. And you'd leave basically Scholes in there, literally switching play, which Bruno Fernandes can do, and you'd have that 4 in midfield of Everton charging from side to side, and eventually you work them, you fatigue their legs, you get bodies in the box. Manchester United left 1 man up front all night in Xerxes. They had to have 2 up. Just forget the 2 up from a point of view of changing your system, Ruben. 2 up from a point of view of when there's crosses going in the box, you've got presence. I know that Tarkowski and Keane, what you're trying to do with Tarkowski and Keane, he's not asking necessarily for players to go and beat them in the air, because they're better than probably Manchester United's players that were on the pitch. What you're asking to do is occupy them. You're occupying the centre-backs. And I'm going to go back and say, let's pretend that's Cole and York. They're not going to beat 2 giant centre-halves in the air, but they can occupy the centre-backs, which means that someone else can maybe make a run in and get the goal. Casemiro or whoever. And I just thought United was so pedestrian and so negative, having gone to 10 men. You've got to flood forward. It's got to be like the Alamo when you're playing against 10 men. And they still kept this 3 at the back. All right, Luke Shaw ambled forward a little bit. I was particularly harsh on Luke Shaw, less so on Euro, because you're always a centre-back. Luke Shaw's not a centre-back. Luke Shaw is a left-back who can go forward and go forward well, and actually's got a good left foot. So you be the one who dominates and goes forward on that left-hand side. Euro comes round a little bit. You don't want him on this right-hand channel in the ball, which we saw for so much in the second half. And he's just playing passes. He's not capable of doing that. That's not his game. So I was harder on Shaw. I thought Shaw was so disappointing in the second half. I thought the substitution, and I'm riffing now, in no particular order as I feel it. Bringing Dalot on that far side and blocking that side off. I know Dorgu was having a tough night. He wasn't great at all. But at least he's got a left foot. But putting Dalot on meant that all of a sudden that he's having to turn back the way on his right foot and play around. Now, he's a capable player, Diogo Dalot. He's not a left wing back though. He's not a left winger. He's finding himself as a left winger. Dalot is not a left winger. And I just think the only player that I could say that maybe had anything about him, Ahmad showed a little glimpse of something. It was nowhere near good enough. That was a really bad night for United. It was an embarrassment at times.
Have you touched on part of the issue, though, a personnel issue, perhaps? They weren't able to have those substitutes to bring on that could... You mentioned the likes of Ronaldo and Beckham and Valencia. They don't have those players available to them all.
I wasn't referring to those players in terms of quality, and they should be... I was referring about the actual positions that the players who were out there should have been in. Look, they've got injuries. Šeško's injured, Cunha's injured, but forget that. There's no excuses tonight, by the way. I'm not entertaining that one bit. You think about Everton's squad. They lost Seamus Coleman after 1 minute, 2 minutes. They had a man sent off. No excuses. Let's not start that game. I think we need to be very careful. Look, United have got players missing, but so has every other club. Everton dominated them with 11 men and with 10 men in a different way of domination, but they dominated them through their fight and their spirit. I thought that was a Manchester United team tonight who have come here off the back of a decent run, a decent sort of international break between October and November. And maybe we've all fallen into that trap of just thinking United are back. There's a bit of expectancy. They're going to go up to 4th or 5th in the league, level with Villa. They're going to be 21 points. They're going to be ahead of Liverpool. We're all thinking it. Let's be clear. Let's be honest with ourselves. Why wouldn't we think it? You're playing against Everton, who we ordinarily, to be fair, beat here. And it's complacency. And complacency will kill you. The minute that you think, as a football player, that you just have to turn up on that pitch and you're Manchester United and you can play, or any football club, you're done. And they've turned up tonight off the back of an international break. They've had a full 5-6 days break all together. It's been perfect. You couldn't ask for any more. There's no international football that's interfered with this build-up. There's no European football for them. They've had the perfect amount of time to really prepare for this match. And it's as if they've imagined in their heads they're going to be in the Champions League places. and they've thought that maybe before the game, and it just smelt of complacency from minute one. Actually, they weren't at it from the beginning. I mean, that first 12 minutes before Idrissa Gueye got sent off, Everton were by far the better team, quicker to the ball, sharper, more positive, looked have more intent about them, and that is a bad one for United. And look, I actually think they've been a lot better in the last few weeks. I think that probably takes us back to Brentford away, and you can't go from here, good standards, and the fight that they showed in certain games in that period between Liverpool, the Liverpool game, the Forest game, the Tottenham game. You can't go from that to that. It erodes confidence. It erodes trust. It erodes trust. We're trying to build a trust in a manager. We're trying to build a trust in a team. And tonight, the fans have left that game. I mean, they booed collectively at the end. It was a loud, and rightly so. I mean, that was a really poor performance. But it erodes trust. And tonight, you lose a lot again. It's almost as if you've gone sort of like 2 or 3 steps forward. Everyone's feeling a little bit better about themselves. And you've just gone back to the start again. And look, there's a long way to go. And to be fair, it's a tight league and everyone's being inconsistent. Everyone's beating one another. There's only Arsenal really that are demonstrating a level of consistency that you would say is really acceptable by all the top clubs. So there'll be, opportunities to correct it and put it right. But you can lose football matches, but you can't lose them like that. You can't lose them like that. That's nowhere near good enough. It's not. Do you know something, Seb? You sometimes getting the balance right. You're a United fan, and you're trying to do a commentary where you're basically watching a football match, but you end up getting angry. You're angry because you've had that lived experience of being out there on that pitch and come on. You like that? You're thinking, come on. Go forward, just do something with intent, do something like you mean it. And so much in that second half you could look at and think it was wrong. And sometimes you can't put words around it, you can't explain it, you're just watching it. And it's apathy.
Start with Dan.
Give me Ruben. What's your overall feeling out loud, Ruben?
Frustration, disappointment about the way we play the game. I think they were the better team with 11. They defend really well with 10 men, 70 minutes. So I think we deserve to lose. We didn't play well. We didn't play with the right intensity. And that's it.
So, what didn't we do? I mean, why wasn't the intensity there? What was it they got fired doing?
Yeah, we talk about this a lot of times. I know which point we are in the moment. I have that feeling during this run. I will always talk about that. So we are not there, not even near the point that we should be to fight for the best positions in the league. We have a lot to do, and we need to be perfect to win games. We were not perfect today.
Samuel and then James.
It seemed like the team struggled to kind of come up against 10 men. I mean, why do you think that is? And also with Matthias being injured, do you think that had a big impact on the way you attacked?
No, of course, when you have more players with different characteristics, especially with Cunha or Ben, you have more options to score goals, especially against low blocks where there is no space. But that is just an excuse. We have players on the pitch, and we could lose the game